Hello.
Raghuvanshi, lots of names being thrown around in the past few days. Very deservingly, as I mentioned, Suryavanshi's age fraud has nothing to do with the fact that he's still a massive talent. And Raghuvanshi being of the right age is finally proving up with his talent because KKR have found out where they need to play him. Ideally, I'd like him to be playing at 3, but 4 is good enough.
That is true.
And there you go. KKR has beaten DC, GT has lost to RR, and RCB stay on top of the table for 3 days in a row
Hey, bro.
already.
The thing which I was worrying about, because the last day, when we were on the last stream, I mentioned how, like, not after that, I mentioned how important it was for us to win that match because GG was supposed to play RR, then DC was supposed to play KKR, and down the line, MI is also playing RR. So, and Punjab is also playing CSK, which is also something which can help them move up the ladder. So, yes, two matches have been tick. We are still on the top. Oh, let's see tomorrow and the day
But
after.
tomorrow's result is also not going to change RCB being on the top because thankfully the rain ensured that Punjab stay on 11 points and not on 12. So the
No,
new
no,
wins
yes,
tomorrow, they get to 13.
yes, definitely.
Down at the top of the table. However, Mumbai Indians catching up is very scary. Day by
Very,
day, it's reaching out even more. And the fact that DC and UP have both watered means that MI sit comfortably on second place. And if Punjab don't beat them in the two games that they have, we will be seeing MI in the playoffs and possibly snatching the trophy away from the trophy-less trio.
that is true. Hopefully, something happens. Like, is there any way in which, yeah, this is cheating? Yeah, Abhishek, this is cheating. Yes.
So, we should talk about this. In the last 24 hours, we have seen Virgin Jaiswal, we have seen Small Nunnu Suryavanshi, and we have also seen Garib Rinku. So
Yes.
it's good to see that these players are finally stepping up. It's all
Yes. It's on, like,
the
only
battle.
one thing which remains is the big Nunu Russell in batting. Bowling, he is stepping up somehow. He just doesn't know like what to bowl. He just lands up on the bowling crease and he just throws wherever his arm is taking him,
He
and
just
that ball
lands,
lands
he
somewhere.
throws
Yeah,
and landed outcomes, I think. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. That ball lands somewhere around the Yorker or some weird length which the batter is not going to hit. So
yeah. So if
crazy.
Russell himself doesn't know where he's bowling it, how will the batter know where he's bowling it? Very
Yes,
smart.
exactly. Very smart. Big brain time.
Good vision.
Yeah. But coming back to Suryavanshi, yes. Do you think it's an age fraud or not? Because most
See,
people
let's
would
look at
like
the
to
fact
believe
that
it.
he might be, look, he claims that he's 14. I say that he's 16. But at the end of the day, even if he is 16 years old, it is insane talent to be able to hit
Exactly.
the ball. So, irrespective of what his age could be, he's still massively talented. I said that on day one itself. It takes nothing away from his talent.
Yes.
It's very similar to Rashid Khan. You don't know what his actual age is, but
Ages, but yes. Yes, it stays. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the type, of course, we saw it in the first game itself when he was like he smashed Shardul Thakur in the first delivery itself. So, and afterwards, all I wanted to see was how he's going to take up the innings, probably what are his hitting zones, and if he is able to hit probably the difficult ballers, because we saw that he was having a bit of trouble playing Rashid, but he somehow managed, right? So yeah, that was actually amazing to see. Very clean hitting, no rash sorts. Like he was like somewhere one or the other there were, one of the two edges. But of course, brilliant hitting, man. Brilliant, brilliant talent.
Yeah,
Yes, and it doesn't
at
take
the
away
end
the
of the
fact that
day, throughout his innings, there were top edges that flew over third man or the
Yeah.
wicket keeper or anywhere behind square for that matter, which happens to every batter, but it is a
Mm.
pattern that I have noticed over the last 2 or 3 games that he's played. He swings
Mm.
his bat high enough for that edge to fly away. So
Yeah.
maybe do what you do when you go to Sarfraz Khan and have a fielder out there on deep
Yeah.
third man just to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Right? You
Someday
can't
he's going to get
exactly,
caught. Yeah. Mm.
yeah, you can never anticipate an edge, but given that so many edges have happened, might as well give it a shot.
Yeah. That's true. And also, most of the batters, most of the bowlers did not even try, the like, I don't think there were many bouncers to him, as well as, clean Yorkers. They
Yeah.
were actually
No,
hitting
more,
the
more than
length
that,
delivery and more
there
of the.
were bouncers. I won't take away from that. There were
Hmm,
bouncers which flew away over third man.
they
But
flew
I
over
feel
there. Hmm,
there is enough space off deliveries.
hmm,
It's the ego getting to all the bowlers that we've seen bowling to Suryavanshi so far. They've gone hard pace on because they seem to think,
yeah.
okay, he's 14 years old. Let me
Yeah,
beat him with
he's
round
going to.
play. And that
Exactly.
is what
That's what happened. Yeah, that's what was the problem. Prasidh Krishna was trying some of the slower deliveries, but that's Prasidh Krishna's slower deliveries, which were like in range slower deliveries, which Weber was able to hit very easily. So, yeah, makes sense.
And you know, given Prasid's height, the way he lands the slow delivery brings it to a decent level of bounce where it's still very hittable when you just slog your bat
Yeah,
blindly. You
that's
have to
true.
push it cooler and see if he can, chip it up straight in the air.
Mhm.
That's pretty clear right there. Jaiswal, on the other hand, Suryavanshi made Jaiswal's, 30 ball, he looked slow.
That's true.
Yeah.
Every it's like there's
Love.
always some or the other batter who makes Jaiswal's inning look slow, but yeah, it still was a great inning considering how the match was panning out to be. So
And massive respect to Bhuvneshwar Kumar for saving our asses that day because if
yes,
Suryavanshi had continued in the Chinnaswamy, our reputation would have been on the line and we would have seen another home loss.
consider yeah, considering our own history. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, considering our own history, this is exactly what happens with RCB, not with GT or other teams like that. This is exactly what happens with RCB. Like some or the other talent comes out,
Speaking
rose.
of things happening between RCB and GT, a funky little stat for you guys.
Yes,
Suryavanshi yesterday took 10 minutes to get from 50 to 100. Will Jacks, exactly 1 year ago on the exact same
that's
day, against the exact same team, got from 50 to 100 in exactly 10 minutes. So, banger stat. Um,
crazy start.
Something that you guys might not have noticed, picked up on. So, here's something to fuck with your brains a little.
Yeah,
There's always going to be a little bit of poetry in cricket, and this is one of those moments.
yeah,
So, good game overall. I was of the opinion that Gujarat started a little slowly because they were still going at 10 and over while Gill and Sudarshan were playing. It ended up being a pretty slow innings from them. Kotla did give them a bit of a boost in the second half of their inning, but at the end of the day, around 51 not winning the inning.
yeah. But at the same time, one thing which I would say is, I think it's either a problem with GT or something which works out for them, is that this is exactly how they are going to play. Like this is, they can't put anything above that. They can't put anything below that. This is how they are just supposed to play. So if they don't have any proper solid known middle order, they just have three batters. And if Butlers is not really doing anything good, so they are going to, like, probably are in trouble. And they obviously would hope maybe Sundar to kick in or Shahrukh to give them few flyers start types.
So the
Yes, that
problem
happens.
here for them is the fact that they haven't figured out how to use Sherman Rutherford. He's doing a
Yeah,
perfectly awesome job at number four, but for some reason, some days we see Shahrukh coming in, some days it's
some days.
Washington, some days it's Rutherford. I'd say defining that role because unless and until there is a collapse in the top order, there shouldn't be a panic or a change in your batting order. It should be Rutherford. He's done good job for them. Like I
You're
said,
not audible, such as like, can you speak a bit louder?
sorry, yeah, I'm a little closer to my device.
Yeah.
Is that
You're not
better?
connected to your earphones.
No, no, no. I lost my earphones. I don't have my laptop today. That's why I'm nerfed.
Were you robbed?
I was I was about to be robbed of first place on the point table, but luckily we're still there.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Has GT started their run of getting exposed now? At least now?
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say so. There is still a lot of hope for them. The only thing is that none of the teams in the top four, top five actually, none of these teams play any more games against RCB.
mm,
These are actually
See,
best
they will
franchises now.
qualify eventually, but
They will qualify eventually.
will they
I'm
be
just saying that
exposed by the
only
time they
easier
qualify?
games come up. So our games are relatively easier, which means GT versus MI or like a DC versus GT scenario or the two games between Punjab and MI. These are the kind of games that will really start affecting the points table in terms of how the top five are positioned. And LSG is always going to be in the mix of things, and so is KKR after today's win. So there's a lot going on right there at the bottom of the table. You never know if one of these teams could sneak in, but at the moment it is still with the right, and it's going to be decided by the MI versus TBK games. A lot of teams will be hoping that TBKS loses both games to MI because that's going to make
MI
not
have two
hard.
games against PBKs, right?
Yes.
mm,
Bang.
So as RCB fans, we will be hoping that TBKS beats MI in both games
in both
because
games,
I
yes.
don't want to deal with those blood clots in the playoffs.
So what's best for the table? So one each from the Mumbai PBKs game.
No, I'd say both games to PBKS. I would rather play PBKS in the playoffs than MI. So I think probability and GT in the playoffs because mindset wise, these are easier teams to beat. I wouldn't want to
It's
deal with
okay.
Hardik Pandya and Clutch Bumrah
Let's
in the
beat the toughest
playoffs.
teams.
Fair, fair
We
enough.
need our story to
That's
be
what they're
strong enough.
doing. Yeah. I mean,
And
if you do have to win the trophy, you have to win with a statement. And at the end of the day, MI is making it to the playoffs, irrespective of how we wish, bad luck upon them.
and we want to bring that handshake as much as possible.
Yeah.
Mm,
Come in playoffs. Your team might not make into the
Yeah, your
playoffs.
team might not make it
yeah.
to the
Their
playoffs.
team,
Brother. What
Your
if Punjab
captain
makes it to the playoffs?
might not make it to the next match. So like this is
Both
how
of
things
them.
are.
Yeah, both. So one of the reasons that KKR won is actually because their captain couldn't stay on the field today. Um,
Yeah.
yesterday, GT's captain went and they lost. Today, KKR's captain went and they won. Very funny week
captain playing in
in
the
the
field.
IPL.
Yeah.
Captains being benched.
Yeah. So two of the impact subs that have happened
No,
so far
bro.
have been
Naren is not fixing. He's chucking.
yeah, there's a difference. There's a difference. No, but two of the impact subs that we've seen in the last two games have actually been pretty perplexing to me because Gill going out for as the impact sub makes no sense when you could have sent maybe Shah Rukh Khan out, right? And in today's game, they subbed out Venki Iyer instead of Raghuvanshi. I know that Venki Iyer is not going to do much with the ball, but it always helps to have your bowling options around, and you would rather sub out a pure batsman. So something that teams should start looking into a little bit more thought when it comes to how they use their impact player. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, a
And
little bit of fixing needs in the KKR lineup. You open Raghuvanshi with Rahane, play Venki at 3, that would be a best option.
best position, yeah,
No, you
exactly.
can't. The problem is you can't remove Gurbaz because he is the wicket keeper. There is no other wicket keeping option unless you go with the goat himself, Lovenet Sisodia.
Or play him, or play Gurbas in the middle. He doesn't seem comfortable opening this time around with the pitches being on the slower side.
Fair enough, but when
At
pitches
number
are so
4,
slow,
maximum
you
number
don't
4.
play slow. It's a little iffy. I would rather have Narayan down the order and open with Rahane and Gurbaz and have Raghuvanshi batting at 3 because he's good to bat. He has an understanding
And it
player.
would make perfect sense when Raghuvanshi would be, then it would be easy to fit if they are going to play Robman Powell. It would be easy to fit Russell and Powell together, and it'll bind the lineup with Rinku in between and Venki coming in at four. So
Gurbaz
Because
would
right
make
now
sense
the
only on
Indian
flat tracks. He's not
again, you never
he's
know.
not that
Eden,
comfortable on the slower side.
there was
Eden
one
has
innings
been up and
in
down.
the ODIs, like he has played some innings in the ODI where the pitch was on the slower side. But T20, I don't think he has clicked yet on the slower side of pitches. So yeah,
Abhishek, are you the
Whether
same person who posted it on Reddit like just 10-15 minutes ago that JFM needs to play for Delhi?
lucky charm, it seems.
mm,
You never know. I mean, JFM, I think Warren has been doing a better job than him at the top of the order. After 50, Karuna has performed in one game, which is one more than JFM performed in.
mm.
So, good enough to
Will
keep him on
we
the bench.
see some chop and changes in the DC lineup? So JFM coming back.
Well, not the JFM change. I seriously think that PSL is better suited for his play style. But if there
You
is a
can
change
bench
at
Karun.
home, Natarajan
Yeah,
coming
Abhishek
in
could
for
play.
yeah,
Then
Natarajan
who's
coming
the
in for
one overseas that's going to be benched out?
And have they announced their, like they were actually who was they thinking to get in place of Harry Brook? So like they announced it? There was someone they were planning
They
to
were in
short.
talks with who is that England opener? Ben Duckett. They were
okay.
in
Oh,
talks with Ben Duckett, but Ben Duckett apparently rejected the offer, and
Yeah,
DC didn't think of any other options. This has played out to be good for them,
yeah.
so they
Look, at
can
the end of
easily
the day,
play
they have
Fab.
the team to. Yeah, they have the team to do the job. They don't need any backups for Harry Brook.
mm.
Their team is good enough to be winning. It's just that in today's case, they let the run rate slip from their hands in those 2, 3 overs when KL Rahul and Karun Nair and were trying to switch partnership half. Um,
But the
because
main problem actually started when
They lost
uh,
KL Rahul.
they lost, yeah, when they lost KL Rahul, and eventually when Akshar was there, they still were in the game, and when they lost Akshar, so that's when problems started
no,
coming.
my looking at it is your run rate should never slip below a certain point,
Yeah.
and that start was not the same as what KKR had gotten. KKR got a start of I think 70 plus in their power play, while Delhi
Yeah.
managed 50 odd in their power play. And that has a lot to do with the way Karun and KL batted. And I will not shy away from the fact that Faf du Plessis did slow down later into his innings. He started well, but he slowed down and his strike rate ended at around 130, if I'm not wrong.
Mm.
So Akshar
But
did a
then
good
he
job.
attacked Narain and Chakravarti later on.
He did, but it didn't help his overall strike rate to improve because he played too many dots in between, and they were getting one boundary every over, but it was at a stage that just one quiet over would change that run rate scenario completely. And that's all they needed. They got it from Varun, sorry, they got it from Narayan, and that kind of solidified the job for them.
But I think Faf did a very good job against spin. compared to what Rahul could have done over there in the middle. He would have
That,
slowed down the innings much more.
mm,
No, Fran did a good job. It's just that he let his strike rate dip down a little bit. In my opinion, it would have worked out for him if he continued and played that in the longer. It's just that he couldn't actually in the second half of the game and ensure that he finished with a strike rate of maybe 165,
mm,
which would have been more helpful for the team. So making a total of 200 plus. You can't have three of your top four failing for cheap scores. All these cheap scores coming at a poor strike rate, and also your other member of the top four going at only a strike rate of 130. So you can't leave that much of a bulk of the scoring to be done by your 5, 6, 7. So you can't depend. You could stuff it with them, but Aksar, Ashutosh, Rukraj, how much can they do?
yeah,
Yeah, great signs from Vipraj actually. His middling, he's able to play those shots on the off side and not the leg side. He's not a
on the leg
slogger
side.
on the leg side.
On the leg side, he's a good. Yeah, exactly. He was just trying to time the ball. Even that Yorker in the last over that he
Yeah.
slapped through the covers.
Leggy
Brilliant one.
with a
Yeah,
solid
it was
finishing
one of those
ability.
short overs.
Great signs.
Yeah, brilliant. Two good shot one. So great signs for him. And it would be scary when Ashutosh and him are clicking together, and they are still like the run rate at this point actually was a slide on the higher side. But if they are still gettable, they are actually
Yeah.
the dangerous partnership to be around. Yeah.
It's not going to be a hard situation for them because
Yes.
more often than not, you would see them pull off any chase with a required run rate of 12s or 13s.
Yeah.
That seems to work for these days because with their eyes closed, they've been managing to get two boundaries every over that they bat. So
That's true.
that's one thing.
Also, do you
But
think Ashutosh's entry point has been delayed? Uh,
not really. It just came down to the way
They sent
the top
Vipraj ahead
orders
of
were.
Ashutosh.
They did, but I think that had more to do with the fact that he's a little bit more 360 in terms of the way he plays, and he did his job. I'm not going to put it past him. The way
Yeah,
that Ashutosh is actually pretty context sensitive, and it worked out for them. You can always send Ashutosh ahead. It won't make too much of a difference. But in my
Because
opinion,
even if
what
we send Ashutosh ahead, he's just going to rotate strikes. So that's what he does in the beginning. So
uh, they
yeah,
wanted
it's
someone
better
who
to have him. Yeah.
to do correctly, and
yeah.
Vikraj is someone who's willing to take over. So maybe the idea was to get maybe a 15, 16 run over to reduce the effort for Ashutosh. So even if Vikraj got out of that case, you could have had Ashutosh coming in with a relatively lower required run. Maybe that was the idea behind what they were thinking. In hindsight, you can always say a lot of things, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So there's one thing that we also need to discuss aside from these two games. Um, who is going to be your emerging player for this year? Because there are so many options right now. Keep in the comment, I would like to hear from you guys as well. Who are your options for emerging players? Because you have Priyansh Arya, you have Digvesh, there is as we saw yesterday, Vaibhav Suryavanshi
Emerging from the bench.
running
Yeah.
from the bench. So, yeah, Vaibhav Suryavanshi, Rukraj has been doing a brilliant
Bro,
job.
DC gave more than 4 games this season to JFM. He didn't step up in a single occasion.
Yeah, he showed us nothing. So yeah, there's a lot of names who are not picked.
Mm, for me, I liked Aniket Verma initially from SRH, but
But it's
this
just
this game can be called as recency bias. But the hitting ability of Nigam convinces me that he's a solid emerging player. Like, when he can hit those Yorkers over the offside, he's some quality player. with the ability to bowl leg spin.
Is Vipraj
I
born after
still feel like
1999?
I'm not sure. I don't know what his age is,
Yeah.
but he is, I think he is a contender because I saw his name on that.
Okay, then he
He's
might
born
be
in
the
2004. Oh my
what
god.
the
He's younger than
fuck?
me. So he's easily eligible for.
He's definitely eligible. Yes.
Personally, I still feel like if KKR play Ankush Raghuvanshi consistently in the top order, he is my pick for emerging player.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sai Sudarshan is considered for this. Yeah.
Yes.
He has
Sai
played
Sudarshan, yes.
less than five or few international games for India and he's born after 1999. He's
Yes.
2001.
All right. What about you, Shima?
I think I was thinking about Sai Sudarshan, but also I would want more from Raghuvanshi. Play him at the top order, and he would deliver. He has that in him to be the emerging player. And if is there anyone from the bowlers who has actually shown? I don't remember.
When it comes to the bowler, I think Digvesh is the front runner. You
Hmm.
also
Dinesh Puttur.
yeah, Digvesh would do in the mix of things, but since he
But
doesn't get consistent,
Vignesh doesn't get bowling that much, so yeah, that's one of
he
the
doesn't
problems.
get consistent game. So I don't
Yeah.
know what they did for that. I'd say
Hmm.
if it comes down to the bowlers, then it has to be Digvesh without a doubt.
Hmm. That's true.
Yeah, let's see where it goes. It's been good, quick, solid live sesh. We just wanted to talk
Yes.
about the so that we can discuss CSK game tomorrow with absolute freedom. Irrespective of what
Yes.
you guys vote, we'll be happy because if Punjab wins, we'll be happy that CSK is at the bottom. If CSK wins, we will be happy that RCB is at the top.
Yes.
So,
Definitely.
something like that. We'll see you guys maybe tomorrow or the day after, depending on mood. If it's an interesting game, we will show up. Until then,
Yeah.
good night.